start. We call it pep talk. We shall start from what is going on in the UK. Boris Johnson announcing some let off in the restrictions, and so we'll see how it's going to work. I want to hear how we are taking it. People, how people are taking.
Your
How
life,
long will it
doctor.
take for the effects to? Oh, have I been killed?
Yes, because you're live on YouTube.
Welcome to You Decide. This is Ben Television, and it's steaming hot in London. But we will go through it. It's like we're going through a furnace right now. Just in case you are not in London and you are watching us in different parts of the world, the temperature right now at about 10 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time is 24 degrees Celsius. We are told we're going to 30 degrees today, and we don't know how we're going to cope. But I welcome you to You Decide from Ben Television, the best television in Europe, discussing issues of Africa and around the globe. My name is Shegun Johnson, and I have in the studio, in different studios that we have created in this forum, we have Otumba Bode Useni. Otumba, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, Doctor, and good morning, viewers.
We also have a wonderful engineer, Adele Fakunda, a very creative man in London. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers.
And we have also featuring Alexander Kuye. You're welcome, sir. Okay, yes, we may not put some challenging questions at you, but we want to identify and note that you are here with us. The real issue right now is the lifting up of restrictions by the British Prime Minister. Yesterday, we heard how some hospitality industry could now come on board as from the 4th of July, and how he had to reduce the social distancing. Many have complained that before we can get back to normal, it's going to take some 2 years. I heard this morning that the farmers were complaining that by now, most of their products, harvest products, should have been bought by now, but only 30% of them have been bought. Many people are not going back to work, even though the work restrictions have been lifted because their positions have been scrapped. Let's just recant. How has this thing really affected us between March and now, and up to December 2020? Otumba, may I start from you? How do you think we're going to cope given all these challenges up to December? Because it doesn't look good, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. The thing is, I hope those who are criticizing the decision of the Prime Minister to relent on the amount of time we have to stay at home. I hope they're not saying we have to stay at home forever, because at the end of the day, this virus has come, and then it's now on to us to fight it. I cannot imagine that we are all going to sit down and say, well, okay, until when the virus goes by itself, we will have to stay at home. I've been staying at home the last almost how many months now, and gradually, because of my age, it started affecting me. And I can imagine that the Prime Minister will not take decision without putting in place the opinions of highly qualified people at different level, be it in NHS level, social, economic, and all that kind of thing. So he has taken a decision that I believe is the best decision, and just left it open. There be any reason to review whatever decision he has. He will do it. Let's say, for example, tomorrow there's a spike. There's something that happened that he will do it. So I don't know who will say he cannot change or make changes to what he has been doing in governance. So it is a very difficult one. I've used in the past catch-22. But as it is now, we cannot say we are all going to stay at home and not going to do anything. Yeah, the 1 meter, I mean, the 2 meter reduced to 2 meter to 1 meter.
1 meter.
To 1 meter is born on the basis of there are more people now going to be outside. So
Yeah.
you cannot gap them, you cannot space them as when it was like few people are allowed to go out. So
In
for
fact,
me,
they call it 1 meter plus. You have so many things, so many
Yes.
English during this time. Let me quickly ask Engineer Fakunda. Adele, we found ourselves in this position, not that we caused it. And many people are complaining that Boris is not doing enough. And only this morning, we have heard that Boris is in support of people slimming down. And yet he has decided to open the pubs and closing the gyms. That how will we match the two? And yet we know that the gym may be a more harmful place than the pub, but the pub will make you fatter. So now, what is your assessment of these whole things so far?
Thank you. Well, I don't think Boris is in any win-win situation. Whatever he decides to do, he's going to be criticized. This is a virus that nobody has a template for. We have not seen it before. There was no prep for it. And, I'm not a doctor, but I think what they are trying to do is to weigh which, what are the best options that they have. In terms of, opening the pub and closing the gym, they're trying to make people, they're trying to boost the economy. The pub, they generate a lot of money. The gym is limited. When things were normal, yes, some people go to the gym, but the majority of people don't go to the gym. So what they've looked at is what are the industries that they can use to turn around and generate people and make people, start having the feel of sort of, the life before the COVID. So they've taken a strategic decision based on advice from, their physicians and based on economics. And that's why,
I think the gym industry is trying to cry out because it appears that everything is negotiation. The hospitality industry, they cried out and they forced the hands of the government to reduce social distancing from 2 meters to 1 meter plus. I don't know the meaning of the plus, but I think individuals will put the plus themselves. And but I belong to a gym, and I can't see myself go even if it's open because we sweat and the sweats are all over the place. And the gym is a very good one. They clean it almost immediately someone uses it. But I see sweat everywhere. You go into the steam room, it's a major sweating area. You don't know who has been there before you, whether it's COVID-19 positive. You go into the other room, that's where the sauna, the swimming pool, what else is not a contacting area? I don't know if Mr. Alexander is ready to participate with us. Are you on, sir?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
How do you see it? You think you will go to your gym?
Well, funny enough, obviously I've been working in the front line in the hospitals. So I work at North Middlesex Hospital, and I've been dealing with COVID and obviously our business continuity, because also as a hospital, we need to also treat accident and emergency people as well as people with COVID. Now, the issue, I welcome the announcement actually from Boris Johnson yesterday. However, there was a few things I think from our stance we're a bit confused about, because he's basically stated that he wants to open up indoor pubs, indoor restaurants. Now, how can that work when you basically also have restricted gyms? Now, what we find in terms of COVID is that it likes cold places. So you would think that the restaurants and all of that, where on a normal day it's quite ambient, that you know, it wouldn't be a right place to go. And I have to agree, most of it is to do with the economical side of the economy. And yes, we do understand that the government don't want to pay any more money towards furlough. I think they've made it clear on several occasions. However, from a medical point of view, I'm just mindful that we are encouraging a second wave by having indoor pubs and restaurants open. And I really do think that we can't go down this line again.
Yeah, and talking about the pubs, they said if it's open, then you don't crowd around the bar area. You have to be served. I'm not a barman, I'm not a pub man as it were, but I know that people enjoy themselves in front of the bar. October, how do you think they're going to cope if you get into the pub and you have to stay outside when you want to mingle and discuss the latest issues?
Thank you. Yeah, let us be frank with ourselves here. I think the arrangements and the repositioning in most of the bars, we cannot get this thing 100% right. Like other speakers have said, here we have a situation that is not pre-planned. Here we have a situation that there are millions of people that are affected, are going to be affected, and at the same time, the government need to also juggle whatever they are doing to make sure that this kind of situation does not reoccur. So, and I believe we also as citizens, we also need to do what we have to do to support government plans and so on. I've never drank in my life. I can't remember. Maybe 1970, the last time I touched beer.
You don't know what
so I will never go to the pub.
You don't know what you are visiting. Okay.
Yeah. So I think when government put into consideration the issue of economics, the health, and so on and so forth, and when you now look at this, that the thing is going down, I appreciate the professional opinion of Alagba Kuye, who says, but for me, it cannot be properly managed that without everybody being on board.
Definitely, you are right, because we just have to get out of it. My fear is that it may take a while. Adele, I want to ask you a very serious question. Unfortunately for all of us, George Floyd died, and the whole world took it on and saw that enough is enough, Black Lives Matter. And it's just on top of this COVID-19, when we are just living and the vaccine is being tested. And 2 days ago, there was this video that went viral that Matt Hancock, the State Secretary of Health, said they're going to test it on the black people first, because they are the most vulnerable. And of course, on those NHS too, like Alex. So they're going to get the vaccine first. And everybody is complaining. I mean, the black community is not finding it funny. What is your own reaction?
Well, I think it's I have two sides to it. I think George Floyd, what happened to George Floyd, it's a bit sad, and I think the black community or the black race as a whole, for a long time, have been domiciled in what in putting their views out. And I think I shy away from using white and black, but then I think the
easy nomenclature.
Yeah, even more, they've seen that especially the black race, we are not united as one. Now, we all come together and say Black Lives Matter, which is good. Black lives really matter. But then does the question I ask, because I've had this, does Black Lives matter to black people too? Because one of this politician in South Africa, I can't remember his name, the opposition, the red guy. Yes, he said something. He said, now everybody, South Africans are coming out to say Black Lives Matter. But 1 year ago, did Black Lives Matter when you were killing Nigerians, Zimbabweans, other African countries? So does Black Lives Matter then, or does it matter now? Which one are you going to take? So I think, yes, Black Lives Matters, the kind of racial prejudice that is going on in the US, and not just only in the US, across the world, enough is enough. But I think also as Black people, we also need to, come out, and we need to portray our own individual and collective status quo, so that we know that we are somebody, and we can come together as one and make a force.
The question is based on the global reaction and response to George Floyd's death. Matt Hancock, the state health secretary, has decided to test the new vaccine on the Black and minority ethnic group.
I think that is sad. If he has come out to say that, that is pathetic. He should resign.
Because the people are not finding it funny.
No, he should resign, because that what is it? Is it saying that the Black people are the guinea pig for vaccines?
That is how some people have implied.
No, but that is the implication. It's not how some people have implied it. That is exactly the implication, that the Black minorities are just.
So it's based on statistics, according to him, that they were the one most vulnerable. The percentage of the Black people who died in the USA and in the United Kingdom is not proportionate to. Yes.
There are different statistics to that. Now, I can break it down for you. Even just let's look at the UK. When you look at the UK, go to NHS. Majority of people that work in the NHS are minorities. So when you have a virus that plagues, that kind of environment, obviously, because we are many in number, you have 1,000 Black people, and then you have 300 white people. Obviously, that people with 1,000 people, if you have 600 or 500 being plagued, then that's a lot of number. If you have 100 of the white people, then that statistics doesn't work. But because you have a lot of Black minorities that are working, and they are, key staffs, they are bound to be plagued.
Okay, let me ask the frontliner. Alex, you are an MBE man, so we are waiting for your answer. What do you say?
Well, for me, I think it's disgraceful that that again, Black people are used as mini pigs, and I think we need to cast our minds back to a couple of weeks ago, where initially when COVID first came out, one of the first things they said was, "Oh, we're going to take medicine to Africa and use Africans as..."
Those French doctors, yeah.
Yes, and it caused a big outcry. Now, from my point of view, one of the things I would say is that COVID, yes, the proportion of Black people that have COVID unfortunately have lost their lives. But one thing I would say is that, example like my honorable friend here, Adelea, said that there is many ethnic minorities in hospitals. That's correct. In my hospital in particular, majority of BME staff have either gone sick or have had COVID or symptoms of COVID. A lot of them have isolated. But for them, it isn't, for them when they come back to work, it isn't, oh, well, we had it, so we want to be in the line for it. We want to know, why is it that Black people are more susceptible to COVID virus? But also, we need to also understand that there's also underlying issues. So example, if you've got lung issues that may be diagnosed or undiagnosed, that could also trigger. In particular communities like the Asian community, they have a high rate of tuberculosis, TB. That can also cause some issues. There's many underlying health conditions. Probably some of us here, I don't pray for it, might have an underlying health condition and we don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that it has to be looked on a case-by-case basis instead of a general, oh, well, 10,000 Black people died, so it must be a common virus amongst us all. Because actually, it's not the case. And most of the people who have died of COVID virus, in my humble opinion, it's because, unfortunately, and the advice that was given to the members of public has caused a lot of problems, in my opinion. So example, if you had COVID within the first 2 days, my advice would have been to go straight to the hospital, because the likelihood of you being cured would have basically been higher. Most of the people that went to the hospital had self-isolated as per what the government told them to do. Then around the 12, 13-day mark, they're struggling to breathe. Then they go to the hospital, it's too late. So I think we need to look at the big picture before we stereotype a particular community.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go on a higher level to that, but I want to announce, if you are in this Zoom forum right now, and I'm not calling you, and you just want to interject, just raise up your hand and I'll give you a chance to say something. It's just like you have called into the show. But these gentlemen, you see, they're prepared for these discussions. Otuba, let me ask you this one. Many Africans are afraid to take a vaccine right now, not only because they're going to use them as guinea pig, but they believe that is the beginning of sterilizing them, one, or of injecting a these scientific thing that a little bit of chip into them, and then they will be able to monitor them. Many of them are afraid of 666, especially for Christians who have had for several years that through this vaccine they're going to introduce this 666 chip, and this is rife among them. What will you say? How do you want to address this one, Otumba?
For me, I think the secretary in charge of health in this country had not been properly advised in terms of taking decision that it has to be the ethnic minority. I think he forgot that there are many other, apart from underlining factor, there are many other reasons that were given that why Black people fall easily into the categories of why it's very easy for a minority to get the COVID-19. So part of them are also economic issues. Part of them are also where they live. There are many other things that need to be addressed. It cannot just be because majority of us died, and because of that we should be taken and be used as a guinea pig. It is not acceptable. We cannot. I mean, that should not. We cannot allow that to happen. Like I said, there are many other factors that need to be addressed. So if the secretary in charge believes, and I can understand when he was announcing it, he found it difficult to even, he was looking for the word to use, that the guinea pigs are going to be the minorities. He was using different words. He couldn't even land himself at that particular point. So, but let me say this. For me, what is also crucial, what is also very, very important here, and I think Engineer Fakunda, I hope I get it right, said it that until when we are together, they will kill another 20 George Floyds in America. As long as we have this silly government back home, we have no unity. We have nobody to cry back to. We have nobody representing us in such a form. We will continue to suffer, and that is the truth.
All right. Let me quickly ask brothers on this forum right now. Leye, are you afraid of 666 chip? Is there anything like that? Do you think it will ever come?
I don't believe in that. I don't think there's any. Well, there might be 666, whatever it is, but I'm not sure 666 will meet me in this world. So.
How do you know? When are you going? When are you going? If you are still around another 50 years,
I think people are over spiritual about it.
Yeah.
I don't.
You want the vaccine?
You see, look, if people are saying that American and Europe are going to create, how important do they think you are, that they want to monitor what you do? I don't think they will spend so much money just to monitor some, a whole bunch of, black race, so they can know where we go and what we eat and what see when I'm in my village. I don't think that is of any financial or economic benefit to them.
Yeah, it could be life controlling though. They may want to control your life.
As to do what?
Well, to determine control is control.
That is for people who are in Europe. What for people who are in my village? What, they want to know when they go to the farm?
Yeah, but they have no use to them.
Alex, are you well, all these things about 666, so what do you get into it?
I think it's utter bull. I don't believe in it. It's not something that I've even thought about. But one thing I would say, I think from my point of view, it's weird because I've done two jobs. So I've been a police officer for 9.5 years with the Met Police, as well as I've changed careers and gone into the medical industry. So I see both sides to these things. And I always say, I think from the NHS point of view, I think we're there to treat, we're there to help, we're there to give support, we're there to plan. And for COVID really, especially in the first couple of weeks, decimated us. But like I said, I think I still remember the first 2 weeks. Most hospitals in London didn't even have up to 50% capacity for staff. So we look at these things, and I don't think, maybe the government might have their own ulterior motives for that, but for us, I think we don't look at the color or skin or who we treat. As soon as you come in, we will give you the best care possible. And obviously, with this, can I just say, with this medication that obviously wants to be trialed on Black people, I personally, if any ethnic minority, because let's be fair, we've always done drug trials or in general for anybody that wants to participate in it. It shouldn't be forced. And if it is forced, then I think that's where we have a problem. But drug trials have been going on for over 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it's not unusual for drug companies to say, oh, we want to speak to the Chinese community because we believe there's something in their system that potentially might help us with our research.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Can I quickly say this? The other thing I think is also very important to mention is, so if they now say they want to try it on the minorities, the Blacks and whatever, so if it works for us, so how are they going to if it works for us and it doesn't work for the whites, so what's going to happen?
Well, they will try some whites too. I mean, it's not going to be Blacks only. It will be for everybody. It's only that they will encourage the Black minority to come forward so that they will not be vulnerable to another attack. But the little
can I just say, I don't think the drug trial is specifically targeted, oh, hello, let's get all the Black people, let's inject them with stuff. I really do believe, after that damning report about how BME people are more susceptible to COVID virus, the government have done what we call let's seem to be doing something, or let's get the antibodies done. Because I'll give you an example. There's a particular hospital in London who have received antibody tests. Now, antibody tests have been given to all NHS staff to check if you have COVID. Now, this particular hospital arranged a day for BME nurses and doctors to come down. That was seen as a lot of staff weren't happy about it, because they were like, well, we all did the same job together. Why is it that BME nurses and doctors have first priority over the antibody test compared to others? So and that's what I was trying to say, is that I hope that we don't kind of run and start speculating, but actually to say a lot of it is a knee-jerk reaction to the damning BME report.
Yeah, and coming on the back of George Floyd's reaction all over the world. But I think the reason why many Black and minority ethnic people died, first of all, was because the British government did not provide the PPE, the private protection equipment. They were just not there. We saw what the Chinese were wearing. They looked like a space suit. And they were given one flimsy gloves and flimsy something. I mean, it was deplorable. Many people condemned it, and I don't know, how did you find with the PPE, the first set that the people got, and people were infected and they died?
I think everywhere, not just UK, the US. Even though Barack Obama had a policy for this kind of virus it was not followed on by the current government. I think UK were grossly, unprepared, and they had no policy for this kind of virus. They either thought it will not happen, because quite honestly, none of us, talking here would have, if they told us last year the whole world would be on standstill for 3 months, in fact, just for a month, you will say it is not possible. There is no way that people will not go to work, planes will not fly, businesses will not work. It's not possible. So they were so gross, they were not prepared for this kind of virus. PPE was not a problem before COVID in the hospitals. They had enough PPE because they didn't have this kind of influx. And I'm being fair with them, because they treat people. Our A&E had millions of people that walk into it, regularly, and they had no problem with PPE generally. But then, and a hospital that will cope with 300 a day suddenly has an influx of 2,000. They are going to be outnumbered. There's no magic. Now, you look at China, and then unfortunately, it brings to the fact that we are all dependent on China. Everything we do in UK and in a lot of other Western countries are coming from China. And I'm hoping this will reorientate the government to say, look, if this kind of thing happens again, we need to be able to produce locally. It means our manufacturing environment in this country is not existing. If we need to start begging X, Y, and Z, and people have to start converting their manufacturing plants to produce PPE, then there's a fundamental problem.
Yeah. All right. I have to thank you, gentlemen. I just have to change the topic to two brothers fighting. And I've seen these two brothers fight almost every decade. There must be at least 2 times these two brothers must fight it. I guess you know who I'm talking about, Nigeria and Ghana. Things have got to the head right now, and the Nigerians are boiling. The federal government has invited the Ghanaian High Commissioner to come and explain why some Nigerian High Commissioners abode should be broken down in the middle of the night. Otumba, you want to pick us up and tell us what is going on between two brothers?
Two brothers, but they are not from the same father and mother.
Well, they have the same color, isn't it?
Yes. Now, again, you know me, I mean, I always talk about rule of law, structure, and all that kind of. It's just clearly that both of us don't know what we are doing, and we just operate the way we just like.
On this occasion, we don't know the real facts because nobody has come up with the real facts. But the little we know from the newspapers is that Nigeria went to put up a structure on the ground that was not properly settled with the owners, and that they are using the Nigeria Commission as a smoke screen, and Nigeria will not pay. Nigeria said they have paid it twice or 3 times, but we just don't know which one to take. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm going there. Thank you. No, the point is, this kata thing, unorganized, not unplanned arrangements is common everywhere in Africa, especially in Nigeria. I cannot imagine things like this will happen between Holland and Belgium, as close as they are. That you go and take you want to use a property or land or whatever, or organize, and it's not properly defined, it's not properly arranged. Here, I don't know why 20 years or 30 years or 40 years ago, we should go and operate on a land that is an illegal occupied occupants or whatever. But this is a problem that we are used to. If you can recall, Fleet Street in London, it is the same situation when that property was bought by the Action Group, the Western Region government many years back. And then when it goes to the hand of the federal, we have not been paying rent, we have not been paying this. Eventually, it become a listed property. But what I'm trying to link it up with the way we operate. We cannot rule that out, that we have very stupid way of doing business. I cannot imagine that me wanting to buy something from you I will not do the conveyance. I will not do all the necessary, the needy what I need to do to make sure. We're talking of a whole government of Nigeria and a whole government of the of Ghana. How? But we are used to also. I remember some of our ministers will say, "Go and build the airport at the back of my house." You understand me? So we always do things zigzaggly. We don't plan. We don't do things properly, and that is the result. The result of what happened is the effect of bad planning, bad arrangement, bribe, corruption, and terrible other things that go with the way we live.
All right, let me ask Leye, I know you are a veteran. I happen to study West Africa, relations in West Africa. Nigeria and Ghana have never had it smoothly. It was just all over the years. It's been cat and mouse. Is this still cat and mouse issue? Are we Tom and who is Tom? Who is Jerry?
No, I actually think, although I agree a bit with what Otumba has said, but I think you know, the Ghanaian government carry a lot of the blame, because technically what they've done is they've come to Nigeria.
That's right.
And bulldozed a building. It means Ghanaians have come to Nigeria with a bulldozer and bulldozed that building. There is no reason why we're not talking of an individual Nigerian, we're talking of government. You know, and that is why you have interior ministry. That land, you know, should have gone through Ghanaian interior ministry. Even though Nigeria is paying for it, it's not, Nigeria government will not do a contract with an individual because it's an embassy. They will not come to London now and say they want to buy my house. As for the embassy, they have to go through the government. So a lot of the, you know, issues lie, and it's still, yeah, you know, it's the African way of doing things, zigzag, you know, no fine tune to anything. But that problem lies with the Ghanaian government. Why would you give another country? Because it's not a person. You are giving another country or allowing another country to take possession of a property that you have not, you know, if they are saying they are not paid the money, or, you know, there is, yes, that's a different, but that they have no legal right to be on it. They shouldn't have been on that land at all. It's like them coming to Nigeria and then, you know, just randomly picking somebody's land and building on it. It's the embassy. That's the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then you carrying a bulldozer to it and bulldoze the place. It shows, one, there is lack of security in Ghana to our embassy. It's a complete breach of security. Because it means you are saying,
and there was no police officer even when they were calling for one middle of the night.
It's a complete breach of security to the embassy and the staffs of the embassy. Irrespective of how they've done their business, it's a complete breach of security, especially in Ghana, and they must be reprimanded for it.
Yeah, they called in the Ghanaian High Commissioner, but I don't know what excuse he will have given. Let me ask Alex. Alex, what's your take on this?
I have to totally agree with you. I think every embassy is a sacred land. I always say it's a sacred land. It is. If I run into the Nigerian embassy today, I'm in Nigeria. Whether I'm in the UK and they don't like, or people are trying to chase me, I'm in Nigeria. But for me, I think, for me, it's quite sad. But then I would say it is normal. And if you look at all other Nigerian embassies in the world, you would see that similar things have happened before. Now, in the UK, every single embassy is protected by the police. If you go to many other foreign countries, every single embassy is protected by one sort of police or the other. In Ghana, for instance, this has been boiling for a while. It's not something that happened overnight. But one of the biggest issues I have with this demolition of the Ghanaian embassy will be, did this guy come from nowhere and just brought a bulldozer? Are you telling me that the Nigerian government did not know about this happening? Are you telling me that the Ghanaian Interior Ministry did not know about this? Because for me, I've always said that, in my opinion, Nigeria, in terms of our diplomatic relations, have lost our credibility. No one would go to the American embassy and piss on their gate and not be scolded.
And get away with it.
And not be scolded by a police officer or a military personnel. But in Nigeria, you know, not even in Nigeria, in other countries, you can go to the Nigerian embassy and do what you like. And for me is, I think because of the reputation of the Nigerian embassy, people think they can do what they like. And I think that's why we need to change that. And it all starts from the top. It starts from the president to the foreign minister. If you want people to respect you, then the respect is reciprocal. But if people don't respect you, people do what they want. They wouldn't have tried that with the American embassy or even Belgium embassy or a smaller country.
It's a shame that we saw that one. And by any standard, Ghana is a very small country compared to Nigeria in terms of GDP, in terms of GNP, in terms of population, in terms of landmass, in terms of development, in terms of military balance. There's no way you compare Ghana to Nigeria. In fact, the population of Ghana is more or less like the population of Lagos. The GDP of Lagos is higher than that of Ghana. I mean, there's no comparison. And yet, in terms of diplomatic issues, Nigeria has been slapped. Otumba, we have on the forum somebody agreeing with you. What did he say again? Now, do you think this will escalate or you think it will de-escalate? Otumba?
Well, I don't know why we should escalate it. The best solution to it is to probably sit down, because escalate will probably mean retaliating or whatever, and we don't need that. I mean, gone are the days that when one embassy official is sent back home, 200 like the Russia will do, they will send everybody and say, bring us new one. But we can't, again, like I said, the truth of the matter here is, let us say it openly. Mention one embassy, Nigerian embassy in the whole world that is functioning well, that does not have this kind of problems, that does not have some, but the only difference is most of our other embassies are in the civilized clime will not have to go through this. We might be owing them rent, we might be owing them electricity, all that kind of thing, because we are used to not paying. We are used to just doing business anyhow. This is the truth.
So Otumba, you are saying we should look inward. We should look inward.
Exactly. These are the results. These are the effects. These are the effects of bad planning, everything. I don't know why, like I said, why the property has not been conveyanced, why the property has not been properly scrutinized and make sure that we are taking it.
No?
Yeah. So why don't we don't have because everything is your connection to the embassy of Uganda, the person you know there, so we can get his property through this and through that. Like one of the speakers said, if you are going to take my property, you have to go through the dual process. You have to go through the solicitor and make sure if it's the property is going to be let out to you for the next 10 years, 15 years, it will be properly there. So you will not have the audacity, you will not have the right just to wake up in the morning and say, I want you out, even though the remaining of your tenancy is another 2 years. You see, we have not been doing things properly. This is the truth. And let us say the truth to the whole, to our people, so they know we have not been planning properly. We are very
ask Engineer Fakunda. Now we agree that Nigeria should look inward. Yes, Ghana has done something wrong. They dare not do it to American embassy. They're doing it to the giant of Africa. And we're not saying that because we're Nigerians. But having done that, let's look inward. Do we pay our electricity bills in London? I'm talking of the Nigerian High Commission. Do they pay their other bills up to the point that they have been threatened so many times? I recall when Dr. Kolade was there as the Nigerian High Commissioner, he had to collect all the money meant for visas, to pay salaries, to pay for electricity bills. In Belgium, the Nigerian High Commission was dilapidated, that they could not pay the bills, they could not pay, they could not repair what in their own embassies. So what are we to do to look inwards rather than punching Ghana back?
I think Otumba has said it. Our problem is, apart from, our problem is inward. Our problem is this. And I would also add to that, the embassy in Saudi Arabia was there in Riyadh. They have exactly the same issue.
Yeah.
I go to the embassy there frequently. They have exactly the same issue. Every embassy, Nigerian embassy, they are not funded properly. And then they have to now resort to, taking money for visa or trying to manage. We cannot run, and that is why we have no credibility.
Yeah.
Because in UK, they are owing land, they are owing rent, they are owing, their cars are parked. Yes, I can understand, they have what they call exchange of, especially when it comes to road fines and all that. That's not a big issue. They both do it.
Yeah.
Even the British embassy in Nigeria,
The USA does it a lot.
yeah, they don't pay fine, they park anywhere, but that's a minimal thing. But then when it comes to major issues, running your embassy effectively, paying your rent, it is across the Nigerian embassy. And it is not just the embassy, it comes from Nigeria. That is from the top, from the minister, the PAMSEC, the interior, it comes from them because they need to regulate. If they are sending money to the embassies and the embassies are not doing what they should do, then that's a different issue. But then the embassies will tell you that we don't have money.
Okay. That's something I want to ask you then. I just wanted to throw in the position of Erelu Dabiri. She's been very, very vocal, and I know she's having some challenges with some NIDO officials of recent, and that she's taken over the office of the Foreign Affairs Minister in Nigeria. Could there be internal problem with that one that has affected this kind of thing? Alex, do you know any of these things? How Erewa Dabiri has been, now that she has not talked, then it appears nothing serious has been taken.
So I don't actually know too much about that, so I wouldn't really comment on that. I'm quite good with my Nigerian politics, but not this one. But I really wanted to interject with what Adeleye said. He mentioned something that's quite interesting. I'll be honest with you. If you look at the embassies across, Nigerian embassies across the UK, or sorry, across the world, the common denominator you find is that there is no help. Even if there is help, it is very sketchy and patchy. Now, when I was a police officer, I remember in 2013, I arrested a Nigerian, and because the Nigerian was a foreigner, we had to get the Nigerian embassy to support him. Now, I've dealt with a lot of embassies in the past where they will give advice over the phone, or they will be like, oh, okay, you know what, we'll send a lawyer to help you or whatever. When I called the Nigerian embassy, and this was their emergency number, I did not get a reply for almost 72 hours. Now, the person is in custody. Legally, due to the rights that we have in this country, we have to contact the Nigerian embassy. Nobody responded or called. Now, this is in front of white senior police officers. Now, if it's like this in London, it will be more like this in other countries. And it goes back to the point of what I was trying to say. If people see us in a way, people will treat us in a way. They wouldn't, even South Africa. Do you really think Ghana would have done that to South Africa?
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. So for us, it's like they know that there's not going to be any retaliation. They know that they're going to do anything. And also, in terms of the United Nations Convention, every single embassy in the land needs to be registered with the Foreign Commonwealth Office of that country. It's the United Convention rules. But for that house, maybe the house wasn't registered, I don't know. But for that house to be bulldozed and everybody's looking, for me, that just shows how Nigeria is being.
Otuba is a good Nigerian. Otuba, defend your country with what Alex just said. Nobody could take emergency number 16 hours. Defend your country.
It's your country too. More of your country. More of your. I'm over 50 years in Europe, so a little bit longer than some people. And I can tell you for free. I don't engage in cover up of the way we behave. We are behaving very, very badly in everything. Some of us will also be shocked that some of the money we are talking about has been allocated or earmarked and have been given to the foreign services, but then it has been shared even before it gets to Europe.
Uncle Tumba, the budget for the for the Foreign Commonwealth for Nigerian embassy was huge this year. It was bigger than it's ever been. So where's that money gone to?
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You see, this corruption, these so many things. What we are seeing is just effect. All what you and I are seeing are just effect. Reaction, and like I said, we may have a situation where maybe one of the top notch in the in Ghana Commission, Nigerian Commission in Ghana, had resolved to make an agreement with his girlfriend or his boyfriend or whatever, take the property without due process. Like I said, I cannot imagine as a legal person that conveyance will have not been done to ensure that this property will be leased for so condition, terms, and so on, for so time and period. So, but because it was like a hush arrangement, you know, that kind of thing, you know, you get paid and later on, don't worry about that. You see, the premium we pay on Nigerians and Nigerian business is so low. We don't care. And these are problems. And that's why we are getting this over.
I just have to draw a line behind that one. If you listen to the Ghanaians, they will tell you that Nigerians have come to run over their country in a land where they have to pay $100,000 in Accra to get that piece of landed property. Nigerians have come with $1 million. So Ghanaians could not afford to buy that particular place. Nigerians have brought their money and they're not happy at all. Because of the industrial nature of Nigerians, so many areas have been taken over and Ghanaians are not just happy. We know that many Nigerian politicians, I don't know whether they have stolen money, but they've gone to build houses in Ghana and
you don't know where they are stealing money.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm serious. I could mention name upon name because they have their houses, but I will not say they have stolen because the court of law have not said so. What I'm trying to say is that many Ghanaians are not happy that Nigerians have come to destabilize their economy. The landed property they will have bought at a normal Ghanaian price, we have come with a humongous amount to purchase that land, and Ghanaians feel left out. And that is why they are now responding to us. They're killing and destroying our traders and trading companies in Ghana. And once in a while, this kind of eruption will amount because there is this underlying belief that we come there and we're doing larger than life. Does anybody quickly want to react?
I think it's the same. The same way Nigerians would think, you know, Lebanese and all that have come to, you know, run over Nigeria, you know. But you see, in terms of that, you know, it's across the board, yes. But specific, if we look at that embassy, I am very sure that somebody has created a deal on that house.
Exactly.
They've called it a different amount for government and they've topped it up. And then there is a problem in there. That's why there is no proper legal work or paperwork. And then it becomes an issue. And nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree.
Nothing is going to come out of it. They're going to keep quiet. They're going to manage it internally and say, okay, you know, the head or
settle everybody.
They're going to settle it and say, okay, we forgive you, you forgive us. Okay, we'll rebuild it.
And quickly, just to add to that, in a normal climate, civilized country will not complain about other nationals that are doing very well. They have a way of clipping them. They have a way of making good income from the Chinese that are doing very well. If you buy a house worth so million, there's a tax, there's this and that you need to pay. So what are we talking about? I don't buy that from Ghanaian.
All right, gentlemen. Top of the hour is 11 a.m. GMT, and you are listening to Ben Television. The program is You Decide. We want to focus on what is going on in Nigeria for the next few minutes. Please be very, very strong. If you are what they will say in the aeroplanes, fasten your seat belt. Many years ago, when Obasanjo was the president of Nigeria, he created a commission. We normally call it EFCC, to look at the fraud and those things going on in the financial sector. And just in the last few days, EFCC has been challenged like never before. The the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Malami, has gone to write the President and the Presidency that Magu should be removed as the chairman of EFCC because he is corrupt. The chairman of EFCC is corrupt. I've never heard that kind of thing before in my life.
It's an allegation.
And this is coming from the government minister. This is not from an activist. And he listed 22 points of corruption, diversion of money, selling of properties, and all those kind of things. That 22 October, what is going
It's
on?
It's not.
You know, I'm laughing. You know exactly what I'm saying. In a country or in a place, there's no structure, there's no rule of law. I'm sure there are different SARs in this country. They're in charge of drugs coming in charge of illegal money, laundering, and so on and so forth. But you will never hear this kind of story because they are bound to operate within the within the rule of law of this country. We don't have that. You mentioned one person. Even Nuru Rubadu, at the end of the day, when he ran away from Nigeria, a lot of information come to the public that he was also a little bit. He was very clever doing it, yeah, but at the same time. But when you look at the predecessor from Magu, is that Lamode was the one before Waziri. Well, as we speak, Lamode got away. Gone away with 9-point-something billion up to today. We have not even had. I don't think whether the case is listed anywhere.
Allegation,
allegation, like yes, like
I don't want to go to court.
I agree with him. There's allegation, but you see, the problem we have again is the structure. Rule of law is not in place, and as long as all these basic things are not there, we are just not going anywhere.
October, what made this one serious was it came from the Minister of Justice. I mean, both of them work for the same government. I understand there's a clash of insubordination there, that EFCC should be an agency under the Ministry of Justice, and the Magu was not having it. He simply will write straight to the office of the presidency.
I think it is good. October, I think it is good because you see, this issue has been brought up since the previous administration, and all of them connived together then to say no. Now the chicken has come home to roost. So if the Ministry of Justice and EFCC are having issues, then it's good. Under any normal circumstances, they should all be under the Ministry of Justice. EFCC is not an entity on its own. It's not, it's under the Justice Ministry. It's the same way as FBI, CIA. They're under the COD, the Ministry of Justice in the US. So I don't see, you see, when you put people who have no, no morals in positions, people who do not understand why they are there, what the policy is, what the process is, then you have this kind of things.
Leye, this is a very serious issue. The 8th president, the 8th Senate refused to grant Magu an official rubber stamp to be the chairman of EFCC.
But the president steamrolled him into it.
Yes, claiming they have reports that this man will not be a good chairman of EFCC.
Yeah.
So the president now be apologizing to the 8th Senate.
He should, because they did not grant him that. The president and his cabal, they steamrolled him into that position, ignored the 8th Senate and ignored everybody and said he's still going to be the same person. Now they're having issues, and then what? They want the Senate to now get involved with it?
Alex, you have been a law enforcing officer in what they call developed country. How do you find your
civilized crime?
You know what? I remember when Magu was appointed, and I just looked at him. I looked at the whole institution, and of EFCC, and I just laughed. Firstly, I have no objections to the EFCC being part of the Ministry of Justice. However, the Ministry of Justice is not even a good institute at the moment for even the EFCC to be part of, because both of them are as bad as each other. Now, the issue we have currently, so we talk about developed country. The Metropolitan Police don't deal with fraud. It's not our speciality. The City of London Police deal with fraud. With the EFCC, it was created at the time to combat fraud. We pick and choose who we want to go after. But the people that are actually doing the investigation, most of these people in EFCC are failed police officers who weren't good enough in their job in the Nigerian police force, transferred over to the EFCC for a better life and obviously more money, but actually they're not suitably qualified to do the job. Then after that, we arrest you, we charge you to court. The first day of hearing, forms are missing. We come back 2 years later, we start again. So for me, at the end of the day, and then also you have some people who are arrested, who have been charged. They go to court one day, they strike it off. So this is the institution you're saying that AFCC should amalgamate with. It's not going to work. And it all starts from the top. Now, is Magu a suitably qualified man to run the AFCC? No. Is there anybody suitably qualified to run the AFCC? No. What Nigeria should do is what the Lagos State governor at the time, Raji Fashola, and before that, Bola Tinubu did, which was say, listen, for all the money that has been stolen, that we are going to bring in KPMG to investigate it. Now, for me, a lot of money was recovered. And it's something that I feel we leave to the experts and let the experts train the EFCC and train the people that deal in this mess, because the EFCC are not productive. What are they? Even the money that they collect, we don't see the money. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the allegations. That's one of the allegations. Yeah. Let me ask you. I want to ask you. I don't know whether you followed the Ojikalu debacle. This was a man who was charged for stealing billions of naira, and eventually he was taken.
One of them. Is it Anambra?
Yeah, one of these, and then he went to court. They have sustained for 12 years, and finally, just before the judgment came, they transferred the judge to Federal Court of Appeal so that he will not have a jurisdiction anymore. And the man left Court of Appeal to come and give judgment, and then went back to his Court of Appeal to continue his job. But then they took it up to the Supreme Court and said, or to a higher court, and they came to a point to say that no, the judge who has been suddenly promoted should not have come from the Court of Appeal to come and look after this case. And for that reason, all the stolen money, allegedly, they've gone away with it. This man was released from the prison, went to Aso Rock, and 40 senators went to bow before him, and all the dignitaries in Nigeria went to commiserate with, I can't even know the right word. They were all rejoicing with him. And yet EFCC said, now we're going to start again. Another 12 years. How much did they pay the senior advocates of Nigerian lawyers they use? How much? Now we're going to spend that money again. We don't know at the next two, and we're talking about the Senate leader of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm trying to expose to you what has gone. How will you
are going into territories that I don't want to go into, because it starts from the president downwards.
Oh, okay. All right.
You are going into territories that, Mr. President, if Mr. President claims to be holier than thou, he shouldn't have 90% of his cabinet with him, because all of them have allegedly been accused of one stolen fund or misappropriation or another. He shouldn't have them there. If Ojikalu, and going back to EFCC don't do anything like Alex has said. They just arrest you and then they start doing the case. In civilized world, they investigate, they have your facts, and then arrest you, and then show you your facts. EFCC will arrest you and try and get the facts from you. How does that happen with any sensible human being?
Yeah, well, Mr. When you look at the level of how we intimidate ourselves in Nigeria. Policing is just to intimidate, not to police the community or the people. And when you're talking of the presidency, I remember very well that when this EFCC was inaugurated, the idea was to curb corruption and so on and so forth. And also remember that at a time, Nuru Rubadu, who is the pioneer, who is the first chairman of the organization, went to see the president then with about 28 names. More of them are, many of them are governors. And he highlighted everybody to be freed. And I think less than 4. He said, oh, it's only these 4 that he should pursue. You understand me? Even though the other ones are also so corrupt, they see how much money they've taken. And Nurubadi have put so much effort into it to investigate. But then the president insisted that it's only these 4 who are not in his party that he should pursue. Now, all I'm trying to say here again, I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record. A place where there's no structure, where there's no rule of law, you are going to get this kind of result again and again and again and again and again. We will just continue to romance this discussion like this because we're not moving forward, we're not going anywhere.
Thank you, Otuba. Let me ask Alex, you've been in this profession. The present president said at the outset of his presidency, that was 5 years ago, that this was going to be known as anti-corruption era. And for 5 years now, what will you say? Let me just give you a background in one sentence about this president. He once said, recorded, that Abacha did not loot the treasury. You and I know that Abacha looted the treasury. The money is being recovered bit by bit. I wonder how Buhari and Babangida will come out in the open to say that Abacha never stole. Abacha was a big thief. Now, I'm not the one saying so. All the countries where he stole the money, they're returning it bit by bit. But you are the professional. What do you say?
For me, I think everyone that knows about Abacha knows that he did steal money. I think for me, it's very disappointing because I think Buhari came on as president, and was elected as president, saying he would curb corruption. And it all boils down to the point where it's about your naivety of things. And it's simply the game of politics. I think the people around him are questionable, allegedly. Let me just say that. And also himself, I would say, allegedly, I would question. But one thing I would say, and I want to link what you've just answered to the EFCC. The EFCC should be independent. Whether we like it or not, should be independent.
However, they should be.
The reason why it's not independent is because at the end of the day, you are reporting back to the president. So if you're saying to this person, I'm going to be prosecuting X, Y, and Z, and the president is like, hey, come here, small boy, you're not going to prosecute these people. You're done. But when you have that independent structure in place, whereby even the Senate or even the House they cannot even stop you from doing what you're doing, then that's it. That's what, in the UK, we have the Serious Fraud Office and we also have the City of London Police. Those are two. Okay. If the City of London Police are investigating lower crimes and mid-level crimes, the Serious Fraud Office, and to be fair, many politicians have fallen foul to just even not paying 1 penny of tax, and they've ended up in prison.
That's correct.
When you hear that, Mr. Adeleye talk about, it starts from the president. Unfortunately, the EFCC was built to report to the president. Even if they report to the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Justice reports to the president. So there's not really any independence. So when you look at people like Buhari and all of that, you would think that if he had an intellectual cabinet, somebody would say, well, I'm not being funny, EFCC. This should be independent of the people. Let them investigate, let them put their findings, and let them go from there. Because for me, as a Nigerian myself, I'm sick and tired of seeing people paraded on Channels TV or BENTV, all of that, arrested. We put poster on their door to say, oh, EFCC has been here, we've sealed the property. 2 weeks later, the guy is walking down the street waving, saying, I'm free. It's not to the point where it's getting very annoying. And people have lost hope. People don't really care anymore. People are not scared. And I think until we start putting harsher penalties, and it all boils back to the point about our independent justice system, because you said something about, oh, you people are going to Supreme Court and all of that. There is no jurisdiction in Nigeria of Supreme Court. I could do anything and go to the next state and they will overrule that what I did in the other state. It doesn't make sense. And this is our problem, unfortunately.
Alex,
okay, I'm going to ask you, Otumba and Leye, just in few minutes, not more than 2 minutes each. How has this impacted this lack of accountability? How has it affected our education, our health, our infrastructures, our electricity? I mean, come on.
102%.
You see?
What Nigeria needs now, it's a visionary. Not even, he doesn't have to be the perfect president. He just has to be able to put proper cabinet together. But somebody that has a vision, that is what we lack. Go to Saudi Arabia.
People say Buhari is absentee president.
He's an absentee president. Go to Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, all they needed was a visionary that says, this is where we are going to be in 30 years' time. And they put the people together and they were following that roadmap.
That's right. That's right.
You know, we need somebody. Look, Nigeria's problem, Europe doesn't have to go to Malaysia. Africa is closer. All you need to do is look at what will make Nigeria grow. Simple things. You know, all this big money they spend, budget 40-something billion for hospital in Asu Rock, and then they still come to Europe.
And still they don't have a common Panadol.
And they don't have common Panadol. So what, you know, somebody is cutting grass for 250 million, maybe it's stubborn grass or elephant grass.
Really, very stubborn grass.
You know, we need a visionary. And I don't see anybody, even in the next coming election, you know, that, you know, strikes me.
Yeah, I think Otumba, thank you, Le. Otumba, you have something to say there. Absentee president, that a police officer was discharging his gun in Aso Rock, and it's all become very, very messy. I'm not proud to say it openly, but it looks like the wife of the president has got his own army, and the Aso Rock has got his own army, and they are ready to shoot one another. And the inspector general had to come in quickly, arrested a few guys, and it's not a good story. The whole world has had it, so I'm not saying something new. Where is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
I wish I know how best to go about installing rule of law, putting a proper structure in place. Because what we have been discussing since morning is all effect. Like I always said, if we don't know the cause of a problem, we will continue, the effect will continue to linger. So the solution to our problem is to find a proper structure that you and I will not going to be above the law. There are more even terrible crises in Europe, but they are handled according to the rule of law, according to the structure of the country, that sometimes you don't even know about it. And then justice is done. It's not in Nigeria alone that there's corruption. There's corruption in Belgium, in Germany, in everywhere. Yes, they will put their corruption under the table, but then again, even under the table, the system will deal with it. We don't know what we are doing. And this is the biggest problem.
Let me guide this discussion. I'm looking for the president of Nigeria. I'm looking for him. I want him to give direction. I want him to give leadership. I want us to be able to think what he's thinking, to know what he's thinking. But I've not seen it in Buhari. Let me ask Alex, have you found Buhari, and I'm not talking of the physical body, I mean to know his thoughts, to know his strength, to know what he will say when, help me out. I'm looking for Buhari.
He's on holiday.
He's on holiday. Where is your president? Is it
I'm sure he's somewhere in Aso Rock.
Somewhere, because you have to understand is that Buhari, for me, from what even from the demeanor, and I think the biggest key point where for me I started to say something isn't right here was when he made that COVID-19 speech, and it went viral in the whole world. People were laughing at Nigeria when it was making a COVID feat, because for me, it just shows that he wasn't briefed. You don't have to read from a script to understand what to say and what not to say. And when he said it, I was very, very shocked, because is nobody briefing this guy to say, well, COVID-19 is real, these are things that are happening? And then even if we look past maybe a couple of years ago, where he went on the international stage and said, oh, women are meant to be in kitchens. As a politician, you don't even brag about being briefed. It's about using your common sense. You don't say stuff like that.
And he was saying that to a woman politician, to Angela Merkel.
And was saying that we went to United Nations to say that.
Yes, say that. And then for me, it goes back to the point to say his government, he's a ceremonial figure. I think we all know that, because I'm not being funny. If the current things going on within the APC party, you would think that he would be stepping in, getting involved, but he hasn't. But anyway, just to say that for me, I just believe he's a ceremonial president. They give him what to sign. I don't think he reads it. They tell him what to say, and that's it. And unfortunately, in 2020, that's not the type of president that Nigeria needs. Nigeria needs, again, like Mr. Adeleye said, a visionary, someone that has ideologies. I'm not being funny. Lagos, for me, there needs to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Lagoses in states in Nigeria. The reason why people are going to Ghana is because Ghana is seen as Spain of Africa, because it's got the tourism, it's got the houses, it's got the safety, it's got everything. But in Nigeria, we haven't got that. When people talk, oh, where have you been in Nigeria? People say Lagos. People don't even bother saying Abuja anymore. And we need to replicate what Lagos has everywhere. It shouldn't just be Lagos as the vocal point and financial point of our country. It should be everywhere. But we've never, ever decided to do it. We've never had any infrastructure in place. And these are the things that are happening to us, why people don't take us serious.
Sorry, I think, let me just chip in. I think you need to go and listen to the Ghanaian president's speech.
Oh, yes, wonderful.
You will weep for Nigeria. One of his speech that he had with the French Prime Minister, and the one he had on COVID, you will see being articulate.
Yeah. And the one he had on George Floyd, could you believe that the president of Ghana, he sent a message to that congregation where the day that George Floyd was being laid, he sent a Ghanaian official message that Ghana is always ready to help as many people, as many African Americans that will want to come into Ghana, as many African Americans that Ghana was going to. The Nigerian president had no official statement as the giant of Africa in a place where we say Black Lives Matter.
But there is a common theme with this. If everyone remember President Atta Mills, he was one of the first presidents in Africa to go to public institutions and shout and berate everybody for corruption. If you look at the current president of Ghana, the same thing. He's gone there saying, listen, this is unacceptable. Even with the France fiasco, France, I always remember that conference, he was like, oh, we want to give money to Ghana. He said, no, we're okay. We don't need your money. Do you understand what I mean? That should be what Nigeria should be about, to say, listen, we are in Africa. Don't come and start telling us what to do. And you've got a small country like Ghana being able to take, and I remember it went viral in Europe and people were so amazed of Ghana. They were like, wow, this president can tell the French president what to do. And it was so amazing. But
all right, so let's quickly talk politics, because our studio is informing me we are about to close very soon. So let's talk a bit about politics, because politics move things. I happen to get a degree in politics, and the first definition they will teach you when you get to your first day in the political science department is, what is political science? They will say, what is political science? I'm coming from fresh from secondary school. You want to use some trying to impress your professor who was looking down on you anyway. So the first thing I was told was political science is a systematic study of interdisciplinary decision-making process. So my first day in the department, I quickly put that in my brain, a systematic study. So it's a scientific study of interdisciplinary decision-making process. So we're interested in the politics of every state, of every country. So because it will affect the economy, it will affect the direction, it will affect the education. So let's talk about politics. Politics. Edo State is going to have its governorship election in September, and this has become a national election for APC. One would have thought that being an APC governor, things would go smoothly within APC, but this is even leading to the removal of the national chairman of Shiomole. And for a while, there were two acting national chairmen, one Ajimobi, the other Gedom. Now, fortunately, it has been settled, at least for a few weeks, that Gedom was going to be the acting national chairman, and he cancelled or purportedly cancelled the one that Obaseki was removed, and now he has accepted it, and they have gone ahead to produce Izeyamu as their gubernatorial candidate for the September election. Can you imagine that Izeyamu last election was a PDP gubernatorial candidate,
Yes.
and 4 years after APC gubernatorial election? Now, as it will turn out, Obaseki was the APC gubernatorial candidate. Now it's going to be PDP gubernatorial candidate. This is the country that we run, and you think this will not affect economy, education, health, infrastructures? Who wants to go first, gentlemen?
I think it's sad at the kind of politics that, and the honest truth is, I am going to plead with Nigerians. We have been taken for a ride. Enough is enough. We need
Tell me something I don't know.
No, yes, we need to look at. You see, our politicians are prostitutes. They have no morals. They have no shame. They will move from one party to the other just to benefit themselves solely. And it's not just Obaseki. If you look across the board of a lot of people that are in APC now, most of them have from PDP, from ABGA, from AMPP. And they move because either they don't have a platform, they have not been chosen, and that is their cause. They don't have, you are in a party because you agree with their policy. You are in a party because you agree with their vision. They have no vision to agree with. The only vision they are agreeing with is their personal vision. So this time around, I am appealing to Nigerians. We need to now, vote in people that can deliver. Obaseki and the rest of them, we should let them all loose.
Obaseki is a Yamu. Look, he's the man who has the ATM that wins in Nigeria, isn't it?
But that's the problem. If Nigerians still look at the ATM to vote, then the result we get will be ATM result. It means, and I said something in the last election, because I was in Nigeria campaigning. I said, I'm not saying don't collect money, but you see that 5,000 you collect, divide it by 12, then divide it by 4. That is your school, your healthcare, your good road, your light for the next 4 years. Don't complain. You have collected money up front. Because, look, let's just look at it. If I've spent 500 million or 1 billion for election, and I become whatever I become, governor, president, House of Rep, the first thing I'm going to do is get that money back, which means there is not going to be school. Your salary will not be paid. Healthcare will be absent. Good road will not happen. And until I get that back plus interest, I'm not even looking at your side.
Shall I speak for the poor man? The poor man says, I voted 10 years ago, I voted with my conscience. I did not see any good road, no education, no health, no. So with people who collected 20,000, look, their children fed for a while. That's
fed for a month. Mentality. And then for the next 4 years, they're hungry.
Yes, of course.
Dr. Johnson.
Yes, Otuba.
I know. I want to repeat what I've been saying. All this is allowed. All this is possible because the way we govern ourselves, because of the structure. You give us definition of political science. also on top of that, it's a science, but science also have principles. There are guidelines, there are way of conducting, operating, and also one of the most popular structure or in political science is democracy. Democracy also have different kind of guidelines.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go to apple tree and start bringing down orange. We cannot continue to not have a structure, a rule of law in
have
place.
all the structure. We have all the structure, too, but we have INEC. We have INEC official must be at the primary. We have INEC. The individuals, the structures are there. The individuals running the structure is the one you need to. Yes, go on, Otuba.
If you have structure, a structure that is working, there will not be a raid early in the morning in the houses of justices in this country. The Chief Justice of this country, as we speak, is a woman. I think she's still there, Holiday. And you won't find a situation because this woman will not take bribe. The other small magistrate people in this country will not take bribe because they are well paid, they are well looked after. All the other little things that make governance stick are in place. We don't have that. We don't have that. The swap
I want to be very clear. Otuba, I want to be very clear. Is it a structure we don't have, or the people's mentality have been subjected to taking bribe and therefore render the institutions useless?
Yes, but don't forget also that when you are looking for the set of the most nastiest set of human beings, they are white people. I'm not afraid to say that. But because there's a structure in place, there's a rule of law in place, there's what we call fear of sanction, that you cannot just do anything anyhow you like it. Here is a policeman among us here. Yes, nobody is perfect, but because of their laws, rules, and regulations, there's certain things you cannot do. You cannot go and do 70 miles on 406 and get a ticket that is sent to you from Manchester, and then you are calling, this my brother is there, my junior brother, and say, help me. It's not going to happen. These are structure, these are rules, these are things that you cannot change. So whether you're a bad person or you're a good person, that system is overriding, is take care of anything and everything you and I do. We don't have that. In Nigeria, if I'm inspector of police, you pick the phone and say, Fakunda has some problem with somewhere in Oshodi. Kind of thing. These are the things that we do, and we do not want to change it. The only way to change it is by putting a rule of law in place to make us change.
Alex, what's your take on this one?
Well, I think in terms of the Edo situation, obviously, I don't want to get into ins and outs of the politics of it. But one thing I would say is that it is, apologies, my phone. Apologies, sorry.
Maybe it's the Prime Minister calling you.
Maybe to give me an appointment. But just say, in terms of the whole Edo situation, listen, we saw it coming. It's for the past couple of months, it was announced that this was going to happen, obviously, because of Obaseki and Oshimole's issue. But we were just talking about justice, and I'm laughing about it because exactly what's happened here. In Nigeria, politics is played strangely, just like any other country. However, we played very, very strange. Now, in the APC, when the APC was built, it was an amalgamation of different parties. We all know that. But there were people who were from the opposition who we were criticizing, they're corrupt, they're this, they're that, whatever. They've come from the PDP, come to the APC, infection meets infection, they all come together, they become a pandemic. Now, what is happening here is what everybody expected. In Nigeria, for you to run for public office, there is no, oh, this is what I want to do. Nigerian government or Nigerian people are scared of technocrats. Let's be honest with you. They don't like smart people. And it shouldn't feel that way, but it is. If I decide to run for Nigerian president tomorrow, I know somebody will say, hey, small boy, sit down there. What do you want to do here? You know, but it shouldn't have to be like that. And it all goes back to the point about structure. If you're looking at politics in Nigeria, you've put an age limit on everything. So it stops certain people from contesting. So if you have a young
So that would be called ageism. There was discrimination.
So if you have a young graduate who's come out of University of very, very smart, a technocrat, has ideas, decides he wants to stand for councillor in his area to make a difference, that the age that they've put there will stop him from doing it. By the time he's 32, 33, and to be fair, maybe he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands, he just decides, I don't want to do it anymore. Nigeria, the structures have been built since our creation as an independent to fail. Since 1960, we've been a failure. You can't come and start saying, oh, it's happened 5, 10 years ago. From 1960, the way our constitution is written, the way our parliamentary system is written, the way our president is appointed, the way our institutions are appointed, has only going to create failure. And I've never, ever, I don't like saying this public, but sometimes I wonder why the British left us. Because to be fair, I don't think we've benefited without them. And that's my opinion on that matter.
Yeah, the British were making money out of us anyway. You know, they set up their railway from north to south so as to cut all the Grand North and all the...
But our Nigerian brothers and sisters are doing that times two.
Engineer Fakuda, are you from Ondo State?
I'm from Ekiti.
Okay, you are very close to Ondo State. What's happening in Ondo State?
That's part of the problem. You should have said it's from Nigeria, you see?
I'm from Nigeria first, then from Ekiti.
Hey, well done.
Okay, nearby Ondo State, they are going to have the election before the end of the year, and we see the same scenario played. The deputy governor has even left APC for PDP, but he's still the deputy governor.
That is what we are saying.
He was arrested for 4 hours by the governor, by the police, on the instruction of the governor. They denied everything. But what's going on in Ondo State, you're very close to you.
It's exactly what we are saying, that you are a sitting deputy governor. Yeah. For you to be deputy governor, it means you and the governor must be thinking alike.
Yeah.
So if the deputy governor is not saying, I'm leaving for another party, there is something wrong in that amalgamation.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fundamental flaw. Like, Otumba said, we still don't have the structure. Because I can imagine, Boris doesn't have a number 2, anyway.
No,
but then, when they had a number 2, you can imagine him leaving from Conservative and saying, I'm going to join Labour.
That was John Prescott was the number 2 deputy prime minister under Tony Blair. You recall? And but it was an ideology that brought them together under the Labour ideology, conservative ideology. So we don't have ideological parties.
No, the only thing we have is how do we make money?
Exactly. And sorry.
Is it because of the lack of ideology that our political party leaders are failing? Is that the reason?
Yeah, because the issue of ideology, like also, let's go back to political science. A party formed on the basis of ideology. There must be a common ground. There must be what they can offer the electors or the populace. We don't have. Yes, yes, or even the center, or whatever. We don't have any of that. As far as we are concerned, just overnight form a party, fund it, get the garage boys. Most of our politicians are trained in the garage. You cannot be a the truth. That's why people like us do not want to get involved. And some people will say we are. I'm not. I'm just thinking the best way.
Sorry to interrupt you, Otumba. I've been keen.
Yeah.
Alex, what will you say? What's your last take concerning political parties and ideology? In 2 minutes, we have to close. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's cool. Just quick one. Nigerian parties, we don't have political ideologies. We say we do, but we don't. Like I said, with PDP, they have the umbrella, which the meaning, we don't know. Broom, initially, when the APC came, it was to sweep out corruption. Now the broom is nowhere to be seen. Political ideology works because different people in different forms of life will have an idea of what they want to support and what they don't want to support. In Nigeria, we don't. No one knows the difference between PDP and APC. It's about who is given the most money. And I'll be honest with you, if I started the party, and I paid more money, I'll be honest with you, I think I'll be the next president of Nigeria. So it's all about what you provide.
Let's stop dreaming now. Let's stop dreaming now. Come on. Leye, I'll give you 1 more minute. 1 minute. What's your last
I think
thing?
it's exactly the same. We need. I beg Nigerians, and vote people that have some kind of form of ideology and common sense. Let's stop voting for money. Let's sacrifice the next 4 years and say, okay, I'm going to vote based on because I think this guy can deliver, not because he's giving me money.
Honestly, that would have been normal. But I'm not saying you are not right. A quick one. A friend of mine went to contest an election, and he got his supporters. He wasn't in PDP. He wasn't in APC. And I felt, look, you will never win from Ile-Ife because you are not in any of these two parties. And he got his party members together, and they were campaigning, and he was spending a lot of money. It came to the night before the senatorial election, and many of his supporters came and said, sir, we're not going to vote for you tomorrow. And he said, why will you not? We've been together. They said, sir, the other party, one of APC or PDP, they've given us 39,000 naira each. And he said, fine, still vote for me anyway. You've collected the money. They said, no, sir. We were made to swear that something will happen to our children if we don't vote. So what you are saying, I don't think it gets to the grassroots. That's why I quickly have to say it. What you are saying is correct, is right. But I'm telling you the reality when you've collected 39,000 naira and you have sown with your firstborn, and quote me what I'm saying, I don't think they can go back. And then that is their health, that is the hospital gone, that's their school. Otuba, you have only 1 minute to say your last.
Yeah. The question is, which out of us here on this platform today will take 1,000 pounds? It's a lot of money, translate it to naira, and for us to be bought.
I won't even take 1 million pounds, because if
exactly.
it worked out,
so again,
that I took money, they will arrest me, won't they?
Exactly. The giver and the receiver. So again, it boils down to the situation we find ourselves. We are just like a bunch of don't know what we are doing. And I've used the word recently that we are so retarded that we are not making progress. And it's very sad to note that people who are highly educated among us, elitists, have failed us, made the life of millions of other people they're supposed to live impossible, very difficult for them, and we're all suffering. In the process, the suffering of an average person from Agege or from Ilorin is also affecting you and I.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes, gentlemen, I'm afraid this is where we have to draw the line. It's been very wonderful having this wonderful discussion concerning Europe, Britain, and Africa. And we've run all over the place, been to South Africa, to Ghana, to Nigeria, and parts of Europe and America. So it's been wonderful. Ben Television will be back with you this side on Wednesday, 10 a.m. next week, and we will bring you the latest. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Otumba, Bodeoseni, Adeleye Fakunda, and Alexander Kuye, MBE. And those on the forum, we know you are there, but we just have to limit it to these guests we have invited. God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa. God bless the whole world.